First of all, thank you so much, both of you, for joining this
Thanks a
session.
lot. Yeah.
And
Pleasure,
it's
pleasure.
it's day 6 of India Voice Fest 2021. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, in the context of the session that we are having today, it is adapting to a changing world of voice
That's
acting. It's also
there
adapting to
you
the
are.
changing world generally for the past 2 years. And I think India Voice Fest has been a great platform. We went from, I should thank Darpan and Sugar Medias and all the sponsors. We had a in-person session for the first 2 years, and then they've taken it online. So I think that itself reflects the fact how well the fraternity itself has adapted to this change. And I think that will also set the tone for this session as to how do artists and how do studios, how do producers, how do consumers adapt to the changing the world, so to say. So
Right.
I think, without wasting much time, first of all, I would just like to touch upon a few points that we would like to cover in this session. And to begin with, let's start with the traditional approach of approaching studios, getting work done in studios, and then let's move on to how those things have now changed, because studios are here to stay. No matter how many pandemics or how many disasters that the world sees, we are going to get back to studios, as is the case right now. So
Yeah.
I think let's start with the studio aspect of the business, and then let's see what are the different technologies that we can use if we are working remotely, and so on. So maybe Dheeraj, if you want to get started, and then Ashwin, you can provide the voice actors view on it, and Dheeraj, the studio owner's view on it. So over to
Right.
you. How important is a studio, and generally, how do people approach a studio if they want to get work?
So basically, studios are important uh, when it comes to delivering quality, because ultimately, if the audio, if the signal is being used for a broadcast purpose, or any which is going to go on air, it better be of that quality. So till the time uh, standards exist, studios will exist. I think studios are here to stay. But
Sure,
yeah, I
sure.
mean, technology since the last 2 years, I think we've tested remote setups and they work well. But then there's a lot of what happens is, like we what we do is, we cater to a lot of commercials, uh, not a film or a dub per se. So in our case, what happens is, as you know, advertising, there are revisions and there are changes and all that. So what used to happen is, when you're in the studio, the client is in the studio, we walk out with the final product. Okay, what happens in a remote setup is the revisions keep on happening. So that's
Yeah,
one aspect. I think it's, for a voice artist, it's a little uh, more than expected, uh, the workload, in terms of the workload. But otherwise, yeah, quality, etc. Studios are necessary, I feel.
sure, sure. And Ashwin, your view on it. I mean, we had to adapt. So of course, there's no doubt that studio output is going to be much better than the remote setup. But I think over the past 2 years, people had to kind of adapt to the changes that were going on. But generally, what do you suggest from a voice artist point of view?
Well,
How has it been
okay.
before the pandemic and now?
So I'm going to say yes and no. I think both are in conjunction. A studio is not going to go away, and I'm going to give the reasons for that as well. As a voice actor, as much as I'm doing from home now, and I'm doing, I would say, 99% in 1 year since the pandemic, 1.5 years. I'm now doing 99% of my work from home. But there is a reason for a studio. There's a reason when I also recommend a studio sometimes. I'm going to say it's necessary. But just before that, I'm going to say, when the pandemic hit, uh, suddenly all the studios were shut. Everything was shut. People were also calling saying, "Can you do something from home?" I had a basic setup. I thought I was good. I wasn't good enough. Um, so I rang up a lot of people. I spoke to them. I went online. I did some studying. I bought new mic, new software. Uh, Basically, I started from scratch. I discovered I was a real novice because of our dependence on the studios, because of our dependence on the quality of the engineers and everybody around it. I think voice actors, depend completely. Like, even if you say I've got clicks, I got pops, engineer nikal dega. I mean, usko, wo karega sab kuch. One has also had to learn all of that. And the studios were shut for a very long time. Now, for example, if you're dubbing, you can't dub. I think dubbing remotely is incredibly difficult, and I would not advise. I would not advise it to anybody. You need a director, you need an engineer, and you need the artist, and the three of you have to work in conjunction. So that can, and in fact, the dubbing industry has exploded because of the OTT platform. So there's more work than ever. So the studio is always there for that. If somebody's syncing, really wants specific sync, sure, you can do that. But I then say, just book a studio, yeah, because it's just easier for all of us. Because I mean, just like was said, just like it was said earlier, that when you're doing it remotely, and I enjoy doing it remotely, but when you're in your studio, you've got client, you've got agency, you've got whoever. Maybe you're there for 15 minutes longer, but you decide on everything. Here, 6 hours later, Arey Ashwin, me thoda slow karna hai, thoda slow, and it's okay. I've got my setup. I've got all of that. In fact, my sound, my watchman's cabin, what my wife called, is at the back there. You can see it. It's what I built at home. It's it's at the back there. If I can just show you, that's my booth.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I've sorted it all out for myself, and it's great. But if it's synced like that, we have so many good studios, so many good engineers, and actually, India has the cheapest studios in the world.
Correct.
It's really easy for us to hire a studio, so we should also use it when we can to make things better. I know that my sound is very good. I've got commercials, voiceovers that are on air that I've done from home. I've done from Himachal. I've done for huge brands, and they put it on air. But that's because I've learned over the years from studios, from engineers. I've tried to learn what they could teach me. I've still not matched them, but I can try and do the best of my ability. So I'm going to say it's. I think the home audio explosion is happening, and it's going to be there. There is going to be a quality difference because not everybody in the last year thinks that they can get a mic and start doing voiceover because it's easy money. And it's not easy money. I've been doing this for 18 years, which makes it look easy now. But in the last year, I had to work so hard to try and fix my sound in the same way as it was said that there's a certain quality that a studio and audio engineer gives. And I, as a voice artist, aim to give that from home. But even I have to ring up the audio engineer from time to time. So.
Absolutely. There's some valuable inputs. I'm sure all of our audience will leverage this in their day-to-day activities as well. But and we'll discuss about the new technologies and how can people work remotely more. But before that, you mentioned a very important point, Ashwin, about being in the studio, taking feedback from client, having a director in the studio to guide you sometimes. And this is great, especially for anyone who's just started. Ashwin, like he said, he's working for over a couple of decades now, and despite of that, he's still saying, I need a director. It's not about how many years you've put in, but it shows how the craft is. It's just you need sometimes an engineer to guide you on sync, a director to tell you on expressions maybe, or something that you may not be following. But I think that brings me to the next point. How do you approach these studios as a newcomer? Say I want to start work now. I get this question a lot. Where do I start from? How do I approach studios? Do I create a portfolio from scratch? Like, do I create I do some voiceovers, scratch voiceovers, and then share? So maybe again, Dheeraj, if you could put your inputs, how do you start? Yeah, Ashwin.
I'm going to just start with that, so the real information can come from.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to say, as a voice, obviously, when I started out, it was all word of mouth. Somebody recommended you. It was really, really difficult in those days. But I think today, again, everybody has the world on their fingertips. They can create their own demos. They can do so much, and they can send it out to people. We don't put stuff on CDs anymore, and really, the resources that even new voice actors have at their disposal is just incredible. What they can find on YouTube, the kinds of mics they can use, so they can create their stuff. Now, how they get it out to people, I don't know. Maybe Dheeraj can explain a little better about that, on how he sees voice actors approaching him or studios.
Yeah.
So the first thing I would say is, for someone who's starting out, you need a kick-ass demo. Because without a demo, that's your first impression. And you have to make a very good first impression then that's only possible using a very good demo and a studio recorded demo. Not, I mean, that shows how seriously you take your craft. Because we get samples which are recorded on a phone where there's a lot of background noise and things like that, and that tells me that this particular individual is not taking his craft seriously, and he's not made an effort to go to a studio, spend some money, get a good reel, nice, a mixed product that helps me make a decision in his favor, that okay, fine, let me try this guy, or let me try this person for my next project. So a very good demo is essential for your career, and people should not look at it as an expense. Like it is, it'll take you 3-4 hours max to get a decent demo. And you should plan it. I mean, if you're starting out and if you have no work, then pick out commercials, pick out films, remove the audio, put your audio over that, put some nice music, make it look like a good product that you're putting in front of a client, and that which helps me take a decision whether to give this person the opportunity or not.
Excellent. And Dheeraj, on your point, I would just want you to elaborate on what is a good demo for a lot of users. And I'll keep on toggling between Hindi and English. I know there are few people जो हिंदी सिर्फ हिंदी समझते हैं. तो आप
Yeah.
what is it? आप कैसे देखते हो कि how do you decide this is a good demo? मतलब language है, expressions है, tonal quality है. So for somebody who's starting afresh, उनको क्या करना है so that you will select that person for your next maybe ad, or how will that person make sure that his or her demo stands out? What is a good demo?
Make it as close, I mean, as much as possible to the original. Suppose if you're doing a scratch video on a film that exists already online or on TV, and you're doing the end part or the narration, whatever, just make it sound as, I mean, you put your personality to it, obviously, but make it, don't let somebody, don't let that thought come to mind that okay, fine, this is a scratch. Make it sound as, I mean, as much as possible कि ये final product है, ये actually ये film है, ये this is the film that has gone online. As much as possible उतना try कीजिए कि ये लगे message, and you share it with your friends, you share it with your relatives, and ask them what they feel like. Are they convinced that this sounds like a final product, or are they, is the film supposed to do what it's supposed to do? Is it delivering that message? I mean, that's what I mean. Well, it should do what it's supposed to do. The film, it should not sound like an किया हुआ है, ऐसे ही seriously नहीं है, effort नहीं है, ऐसा नहीं लगना चाहिए.
Right. And Ashwin, your view, your experience, some mistakes maybe that you would have made, and that you would suggest कि ऐसे मत करो.
Of course, but a long time ago, 2003, 2004, I made a demo. It must have been barefoot. At that time, I didn't know. I got lucky that I shot for an ad with Rajesh Sathi of Kerosene in those days when everything happened in Famous Studio. And he said, "Oh, I like your voice, eh?" He said, "Do you want to do a voiceover?" I said, "Okay." And he made me do one, and then he introduced me to a whole bunch of places, and he took me to all the production houses. And I mean, you can't pay for something like that. That's like an introduction. And I'm also lucky. So I never really did a demo after that. Slowly stuff started coming in. Over the years, I've done so many ads that I can just pick and now it's all on YouTube. So you just download them. They're already high production value because that's a finished film, and you just cut them into your reel. So I'm really lucky like that. But that doesn't stop me from doing other work where I'm reading things, I'm putting to see how they sound. I put that together as well. When somebody says, "Oh, do you have this kind of accent? Do you have आपके पास ये corporate read है? मुझे ये आवाज चाहिए," like that, So then I have to put together something for that, and I do that. But that's the years of experience that also allows me to do something like that. Like I was saying earlier, what the younger ones and newer people, they have so much more at available to them than we had in all those years ago, and they can really use it to their advantage and jumpstart a career like we were never able to.
Absolutely. And I think that's the difference. You mentioned CDs आप बनाते थे और देते थे, and then obviously
Yeah,
you've had
yeah,
a great career, but now people have internet, they have various platforms where they can showcase their talent. I've
yes.
seen people जो YouTube पे अपने channel बना रहे हैं, अपने videos like
Huh.
fan dubs, or they do the dubs, and to Dheeraj's point, they actually are taking efforts to make a reel. But my next question is, then of course studios are important and you want to share your samples with studios, but agar koi someone is not from, say, the metros, and somebody still wants to do jobs and they want to pick up and they have the skill, they have the technology with them. So we have tools like Fiverr, and I'm sure I've seen,
Yes.
Ashwin, you work pretty extensively on Fiverr and various other platforms. So the two of you, do you want to maybe do you want to give the users a quick glimpse of what are the various platforms that users can use, जहाँ पे now you're not restricted by boundaries? ऐसा नहीं है कि स्टूडियो में जाके ही करना है, अगर आप बैठे हो तो you can choose the budget, you can choose the work, or aap, if you
Mhm.
have the capabilities, the world is open. So maybe on Fiverr and some other platform that you would recommend, what are some good platforms for people to just kind of start getting their work from as a freelancer?
So actually, with regards to Fiverr, I mean, I when the pandemic hit and I'd seen the site, and when I was in the US some time ago, I'd seen all the advertisements, and it was literally, I think they'd started it as you can get anything for a Fiverr. That includes voiceover. Whether you want design, you want a website, you can get it for a Fiverr. And I joined last year, and I got no work whatsoever. And then I actually did some courses on how to set up. I paid for it, and that was just 3 or 4 months ago. I've done around 40 jobs on Fiverr since, and I get calls. I mean, every day. I'm pretty much doing a job or two every night, and it's quite interesting. It's interesting. I mean, to see the amount of people because asking for work or looking for voice, because there's so many smaller companies, smaller people. They just need a voiceover, but they can't also go to they can't pay $500 for one, or they can't pay 300, whatever equivalents we charge, 15 20,000 rupees or whatever per voiceover. They can't afford that, so they are here on these sites, and it's actually really good practice if you can get it. But know that you have to be of a certain level still, because you get reviewed, and if bad reviews means that you don't get that, you're off the platform, you don't get work. So you have to make sure that your audio game is good. Then there are also voice websites abroad like voices.com, voice123. I'm on voice123. I actually paid for it this year. I was told that you got to do 100 auditions and then you'll get your first job. I did like 6 7, and I got 2 or 3 jobs that paid for my subscription and a lot more. I don't chase it that much. I actually quite enjoy the Fiverr thing with people approaching me, and I also, even if somebody's really small, I give him or her the best quality possible. I don't care whether it's a $10 job or whether it's a $300 job, and I've had both as well. I give them equal quality. What I would like to think is studio quality. And there are many, many more sites. You as a voice artist, all these places allow you to put your profile up free. So you can put your profile up free in like 30 different voice websites. Leave it up there. Maybe somebody will see it. Maybe they'll send you something. I believe the Indian sound, whether it's Hindi or English or other languages, there's a huge market for it, and it's not tapped. Indian English is not tapped. I don't believe Hindi is tapped enough. The different accents in Hindi, South Indian not. So I think India, I mean, we're on the cusp of all that explosion in the next year or two, where we'll come onto our own, where we can deliver audio in these ways. But go out there, just type in voice website, voice over website, P2P, uh, and cut your own demos, start posting your stuff. It's all free to do. That's how you can start. And start practicing. Just practice as much as you can, and get a decent mic. You don't have to get $1,000 mic, but you can get $100 mic and it'll still be pretty decent, 100 up. So,
Super. And Dheeraj, your views on any other platforms, including Fiverr, that you would recommend?
I think Ashwin has covered all the aspects of yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. So no problem. I think there's one more website. I think it's called Upwork, where I've heard a lot of voice artists using that platform.
That's correct.
It's
Yeah.
a little, yeah. it's a little better than Fiverr, I think, in terms of budgets and all that, because Fiverr you have to start at like the lowest of $5 or something. So again, but then the thing is, technology is no replacement for skill. It's the skill
I,
that it's the skill that will get you the job, I think.
I agree. I mean, but Upwork is not very India friendly.
Right.
I think
Agreed.
Fiverr has moved in, and I know it says $5, but
Yeah.
once you get somebody asking for everything else that is listed there, your
Right.
$5 job can become $100.
The extras. Yeah.
The extras, and that, I mean,
Yeah.
I get extras.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, I got a $10 job yesterday, but it was charged at 90. So that's the extras.
Yeah. And they
You know.
I think they also have Fiverr Pro. I think after level 5, you
Yes,
can go
but
up.
I think Fiverr Pro, there are a lot of people who are not on it as well. I think it works for
Right.
a lot of the voice people are happy being on the different. I mean, it's 3 months in. I'm level 1 already. I'm already
Right.
hitting towards level 2, even though it has to be 120 days. But I'll reach
Okay.
that market before they. I mean, all the parameters
Okay.
before that.
Okay.
I'm quite fascinated by it, because I shoot in the day and I record voiceovers at night. It's like back and forth.
Yeah.
But
We've used the platform. We've used the platform for international voiceovers if there's a requirement,
right,
and if we are
no,
not
that's
able to
huge.
find, yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's
And I
pretty
don't.
handy. Yeah.
I know there's some voiceover people who look down upon it, and
Yeah.
I don't think it should. In the same way, I think voices.com and Voice123 were looked down by agents and all that when they started.
Yeah.
But now, if you have to pay $500 a year to voices.com and you
Right.
have to pay them 20%, I've already made whatever 3 times that amount in 3 months on Fiverr or whatever.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, you have to give them 15, 20, but your money comes in 15 days, 20 days, you just transfer it.
Right.
It's great. And I don't look down because like I said, a Coca-Cola may not come to you. They don't need to for that. But
Right.
there's somebody who started a little shop somewhere, a little business, and he wants something about his business to, I did something for a restaurant somewhere down south. It's just a small restaurant, and but they want to be professional, but they can't say it. So why can't they go out and search for someone? And it should not be looked down upon. And frankly, I think
No, it
no
shouldn't be.
earning should be looked in the last year
No,
after the pandemic. No earning should be looked down upon.
absolutely not.
I was just going to touch upon that. There are two key takeaways from what we've discussed just right now. Ashwin, and again even Dheeraj, but Ashwin, despite of spending so much time here, you said you're doing a $10 job, so it's not about the dollars, and of course then it adds up with the add-ons, but you
I'm,
don't really look
no,
down
but
upon any jobs in
I'm
voicing.
saying I'm doing a $10 job, but I am also doing a $300 job.
Right. That's what I meant. So it's a creative field at the end of the day. So if you, अगर आपको लगता है वो job सही है, तो you should do it no matter what. But
No matter.
the right, but the other thing is also the economics that you discussed about how these jobs. Sometimes a Coca-Cola may not come to you, but a startup might, and that's why these platforms are important to our users. ये हम advertising नहीं कर रहे हैं Fiverr की. It is not sponsored yet, but I would
No.
recommend Darpan to get in touch with Fiverr next year, and we'll get some good sponsorship. But people who are interested, the website is Fiverr, Fiverr with a double R, and you can search, like Ashwin mentioned, other websites. और ये उनके लिए हैं जो लोग सोचते हैं कि शायद मैं स्टूडियोज नहीं जा पाऊंगा, पैंडेमिक है, तो मैं घर से कैसे करूं. Ashwin कर रहे हैं, all the senior folks are doing it globally. I do a corporate job, and like Dheeraj mentioned, you do a lot of international voice sourcing on Fiverr.
Right.
Our organization reached out on Fiverr 3 or 4 years ago, और तब pool भी इतना बड़ा नहीं था, but I think जब urgently काम होता है, we had a voiceover, we had to get it changed, and that's how we kind of quickly went on Fiverr, got it done. We did some revisions, we paid them, but our project didn't stop. So I think the world is changing, and this brings us back to our adapting to new technologies, new platforms. I think Fiverr that way is a great tool.
That is changing, and the only thing about something like Fiverr and these things, just remember, I think now I'm going to say where also studios are important, because if you worked in studios so many years, it's a personal touch. You know the engineers. I've got so many jobs from engineers recommending you, but something like these, the websites and it's all messaging, so you've got to get the instructions really clear, otherwise you'll be going 3 days doing revisions. So remember, it's just typing, and getting the best communication. And that's something to learn as well. It used to be so easy in a studio. Does the client like it? उसको अच्छा लग रहा है, नहीं अच्छा लग रहा है, मुझे जाना है 15 मिनट में, एक और करूंगा और उसके बाद मैं जाऊंगा and stuff. You can't say that on, it's, you have to wait for a revision to come back. You have to wait for somebody to complete the order, to say the order is accepted. I've had somebody weeks later come back and say, I need 2 new words in this. And luckily I saved all my sessions, because I after bit of hit and miss, I realized that I had to save it in RAW from the beginning, so I can switch off the FX as well, so I can record it on the RAW again, and get the volume level, and then switch the FX back on, then export that bit again, send that punch or whatever. I know it sounds, my brain was eaten up with me learning all of this in the last year or so. I had to learn. I used to use Audacity, okay, which was great when just to send something. I use Studio One right now, which I paid for Studio One. I've got Reaper as well, which is a $50. You pay $60. It's a lifetime license. It's a very hard learning curve, but it's there. Studio One is just, I'm absolutely loving
It's very
Studio
easy.
One.
It's very easy to use.
No, again, it wasn't easy. I had to go onto YouTube. I spent hours on tutorials. Everything's easy once you've done it for 10 years, But I'm saying that to speak to you as in a studio on these websites, you don't have that. And remember that you have to keep your calm. Somebody's going to keep on coming back, and you just go, you know what? My booth is in my house. I can have a beer and I can still walk in and send it. It's all good. Yeah, I can't have a beer when I'm at the studio. But yeah, I'm just saying that you don't have to have that.
But do you find that? But do you find this challenging sometimes when the other side, like you said, अगर आप dubbing कर रहे हो, if you're doing voiceovers in a studio, you have the client there, you have a director, sound engineer, जो तकलीफ है वो समझाते हैं कि सर ये नहीं हो पाएगा. This is why this won't happen. But with Fiverr or any other platform, it is a direct client sending you work. They might send you a script which is a page long, and they might want it in 30 seconds. So have you faced these challenges, and how do you then counter these challenges when they don't understand the problems that a voice actor or a voice artist would be facing?
Usually on those sites is specified how many words. So they also know that, that this much can fit in a minute. So either you do it fast or not. So you clear all that. The only thing is, with all these sites, you have to, while recording in studios, it was a luxury that you just recorded and the engineer dealt with everything. You have to learn all this now and send off the best audio, which means you have to learn how to equalize, you have to learn how to compress, you have to learn to use a channel strip, a limiter. You have to buy the right plugins. If you can afford it, you buy certain waves, you buy Acusonus, and you buy the gold, which is RX. Whether you buy RX 9 now standard or advanced is no need, but there's people can afford RX Elements, which has 4 basic things on it, which is a denoise, a declip, a mouth declick, just a declick. A mouth declick is an RX 9, and there's one more. But you still have to learn how to use these properly, otherwise your audio will not sound good.
Ashwin, sorry, there'll be quite a few people who may not understand, and they might ये सब Greek Latin होगा उनके लिए. Do you want to break it down? What? No, I'm just saying. Do you want to just break it down? What exactly is, like you mentioned all these? What उससे होता क्या है? Like for एकदम basic, if somebody is listening, what
उससे होता क्या? Ask the studio guy. He will say उससे क्या होता है.
No. What I meant is you've recorded your wave file. किसी ने अगर record कर लिया है, उसके बाद now that you mentioned the various steps, what is it that you do systematically? And Dheeraj, you can feel free to join in.
Depending on my booth now, 2 things. If you mainly have a home studio in India, I would not recommend a condenser mic. Condensers are fantastic mics, but they don't work in a home setup. So go for a dynamic mic. The only problem with a dynamic mic, sometimes it also needs, a condenser needs phantom power. It'll also need a booster with an audio interface. So you have to invest in a mic, an audio interface, the cables, and of course your laptop. Once you've recorded that, you see you see the sound. You can see what's called noise floor ratio or whatever. I mean, and if you see a problem, then you can use one of the plugins as a pass over it. Usually, all these plugins are used once or twice, and to a level that does not affect the audio. If you have a real problem, then there's not much you can do. So you can really clean that up. Then you can use a mouth declick, because you will always get click sounds. I mean, something like RX is like magic. Sometimes the stuff that it removes is unbelievable. And after that, then you can use a parametric equalizer. Then you can go in to doing a high pass, put more bass in. Don't put up the mids, put up the highs, depending on how you. But that you can all learn, and eventually you can just put what's called a channel strip and increase your gain. If you think your audio is not too much of, a lot of people say you should normalize your audio. I'm not a fan of that. I don't know if somebody in a studio thinks that as well, because I like to send an engineer as raw as possible you can deal with. But all these other people expect fully finished audio, which means even removing your breaths and things like that, and that can take time. So then I've had to learn what's called strip silence, remove gaps. I mean, I cannot tell you what is going through my head in the last 5-6 months. It's like exploding with all this stuff. So I'm going to go over to the expert in the studio for some of this, because I'm still a novice at this, but luckily I'm coming from years of just general experience of being around people to see how they worked, to try and understand how to move this along quicker for myself to deliver the best I can.
Great, great. And Dheeraj, your views, anything else that you would like to add? Any steps for new, like beginners?
Once again, he's covered everything.
I think that's years and years of experience of Ashwin, but go ahead, Dheeraj.
I want the advice on the dynamic and condenser situation I just said for home and for studio. That's all.
Condenser is a sensitive microphone, so it will pick up everything that is around you, and dynamic will not. But dynamic requires a higher amount of gain than condenser.
That's correct.
I mean, so depends on your environment where you're recording. If your signal, the recorded signal, is noise free, then the pressing, there's not much to do. And even if you're investing in plugins, these plugins have great presets that you can directly load, and it sounds like a finished, nicely done up audio.
Yes.
It does the job, but
Yes.
provided your basic signal, the recording that you're doing is noise free or it has minimal noise. Like we've invested in noise removal plugins and all that do the job up to a certain extent, but it cannot correct a recording that is like that has birds chirping and all those, or a construction work going on. You can't remove that.
No,
you can't.
That's impossible.
Yeah.
Even I stop recording.
Yeah.
Somebody started something. I have to also. I know what goes out as well, so I can go on. But you also have to understand you cannot. And I guess from a studio perspective, they get a lot of things which are also ambient sound, and they have to deal with that. We're lucky that we don't. I just think for voice at home, a dynamic mic, you have to learn how to use a dynamic mic. A dynamic mic, you have to keep 6 inches at all times away. But there's some great, if you can't go for, there's no point buying a Neumann for home. It's going to do nothing for you.
Right.
But go get the SM58. Just work on that. Get a Focusrite, get an Evo 4, get a PreSonus, I1 or whatever. It's going to cost you 10,000-12,000. For that, it's going to cost you 10,000-12,000 for the mic. But once you've got that, you can really, really practice. And of course, a pop filter as well. I think SM58 is a great. A lot of people said, "Oh, really?" I've done ads that are on air, which are on the SM58. I have another Shure mic now, which is fantastic as well, which is the Shure MV7. And I also have an SE X1, which is a condenser, but it wasn't really working for me. But the Shure MV7 is fantastic because I have USB and XLR. So it means when I'm traveling, I can take and believe me, the USB on something like this is far better than 10 years ago, 6 years ago. I will get you really, really good audio, and you will not know that this is what I recorded on. And I use XLR at home on it, but for traveling, so I don't have to take my audio interface with me everywhere. I also
Right.
have I have what's called a Porter Booth Pro, which I ordered from the US a long time ago, which becomes a sound box when I travel. I put it into on a table. I put it into a cupboard. I put some pillow, and it's made inside is Auralex foam. So it cost me a lot then. I did nothing with it for years, and now this year I'm using it a lot. Like uh, I mean, invest in a decent mic and a decent sound interface. That's all, and you have to learn how to use that. I didn't know all of this. The pandemic really forced me to do all of this because I enjoy voicing, and I didn't want this life. I enjoyed voiceovers, dubbing studio, of course, but I really enjoy voiceovers. So I want to be able to do it no matter where I am in the world. I've been shooting for movies in location somewhere else, and I've been recording audiobooks at night. People have walked into my room saying, "Boss, what is this? ये क्या है यहाँ पे?" ये छोटा घर, यहाँ पर बनाया है. So you have to put in, and like Dheeraj just said, you can invest in those plugins. You have to know how to use them. I had to learn as well. I also went overboard with it, but I learned from a couple of engineers taught me, and I'm still learning. I'm doing courses on compression, and I'm paying for all of this. Yeah. So uh,
Fantastic.
so
Amazing dedication to the craft that you're working on. But the hardware bit is of course you can do some Google searches, and the insights that both of you have given people can shortlist the suitable microphone and stuff. But what about software? And then also understanding what to do with the software. I remember a funny incident last year when one of the engineers had uploaded a picture of a waveform that he received on I think one of the social media platforms, and the entire waveform was clipping. Like the entire waveform was useless. It was peaking everywhere, and I don't
I,
think
I
the
I
artist
I
understood.
understand that now.
And I
I
don't
know
think,
that.
yeah, and I'm not blaming the artist. That was initial days where people just recorded, they heard, they felt that was the right levels, and but that was primarily because the artist couldn't read the waveform. And now it is important. Earlier you could be an artist, it wasn't your job, but now that you're working from home, so how important is understanding, learning software? Where do you learn them from, and what are your recommended software? You mentioned a few, Ashwin, before, but Dheeraj, Ashwin, what are your recommended software for beginners and mid-level?
I'm gonna
uh,
let Dheeraj go first. Otherwise, he'll shout at me and say there's nothing I can
Dheeraj,
say.
over to
No,
you.
no, no, Ashwin, please go
No,
ahead.
no,
No
no, no, no.
problem.
Please. No.
So I think everybody starts with Audacity. I think
Yes.
most of the voice artists I know, everybody started with Audacity and Studio One, and some use something like a Cubase or Nuendo. But then again, you have to pay a lot of money to get the premium or the paid versions of it.
That's you're
Uh,
talking about Studio One Prime, which is the free version of Studio One.
yeah, and
Yeah.
there's some limitations to it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't record more than 4 tracks or something. I'm not sure. We here in the studio use Pro Tools and Logic to do our voice and music work. But then again, for somebody who's starting out, uh, these softwares are difficult to understand and use. But I think what one must do is start with the Audacity, and the first challenge is to get the signal from your mic to your computer. That's the first thing that people should. And
how
it's a
many calls in the pandemic, sorry Dheeraj, I was saying, how many calls in the pandemic did you
quite
receive
a
जब artist कह रहे सिग्नल नहीं आ रहा है, बाकी सब ठीक है but सिग्नल ही नहीं आ रहा है?
quite a few. Yeah.
He didn't get
So
a
yeah,
call from me, but other engineers got calls from me for sure.
Right,
so
sorry,
yeah,
continue, Dheeraj.
that's one thing. So I think it takes a little bit of practice, and when it comes to voice, I think you have to deal with one track. When it comes to narration, dubbing is of course very hard, as Ashwin said. You need someone. It's not a one man job at all.
I mean,
But
if you do, you're a god.
narrations, yeah, if you I mean, it's like juggling, it's like you looking at the sync, then you pressing the record button, and then you're doing the take. It's too much of work, I think. But
Yeah.
for something like a narration, it takes a little bit of practice, and then once you're used to it, it's not so hard, I think.
But I think 4 months ago, I didn't even know what multi-track was. Now, I mean, I've run 10 on one now I understand where to put my markers, where to put start, where to put end, to run them across. Now I learned what's called exporting stems. I didn't know something like that existing, and I wasn't talking about holding flowers, here.
Wow.
So I learned exporting stems, and that changed my life, man. I mean, that really changed the whole way I export stuff. But people looking at where to learn things now, again, like I said, you go online, go YouTube. So there's some voiceover actors and talents abroad who are great. They put out all this information. There's Anthony Pica. His website is called A
Correct.
Voiceover
Correct.
Journey. And the
Voiceover
amount
journey.
of stuff these guys talk about and put out, they really, really are good. And they're really trying to put out knowledge to make voice actors better people and better at their craft. Then there's a guy called Neil Glasgow. He's called Crown Stag Voiceover. I I sent a message on Twitter saying, I don't understand. You put this video about Reaper and I can't. And he sent me a picture saying, a video saying, is this your problem? I said, yeah. And he said, okay, that's what I happened to me as well. So this is what you do to fix it. He was really nice of him. He doesn't know me. And he has a lot of stuff on YouTube as well, and really, really interesting. Then there's a guy called Don Barnes, who is fantastic. I mean, like Studio One and RX9, and how to use these tools as a voice of actor, how to edit, how to get the best. I've not even tapped into how much this man, the amount of information this man has out there. Yeah, he's called just Don Barnes, and Barnyard Audio or something like that. Just check on YouTube. And if you're starting on something on Studio One, or if you're using the RX video editor, then you go to he'll teach you how to use so many different aspects of editing. And there's one more thing: as a voiceover actor and you're working at home, you don't realize what the engineer is doing when you're recording. When you stop and you go, yeah, I just started 2 lines before, you don't know what he's actually doing. And what you learn later is that you're learning punch and roll. That you have, without punch and roll, you'll never be able to do long narrations. Punch and roll
Correct.
means that you make a mistake, you've got 5 seconds set up in your parameters within your settings, and it starts 5 seconds before that, and then starts recording again. So by the time you finish your audio, you have an edited file. The only edit you have to do is putting in, increasing volume, effects, things like that. So, I mean, learn punch and roll, and every single DAW, which is a digital audio workstation, whether it's Audacity, whether it's Pro Tools, whether it's Reaper, whether it's any of these, whether it's Adobe Audition, which a lot of people in India don't use because it's too expensive, I think. They all have the feature for punch and roll. And lastly, you were talking about the clipping thing. All these also allow you to you can select any bit and lower the volume as well. So I don't know if I'm wrong, but maybe if that clips, you can do that. Or you can use a couple of declipping plugins, which are, again, from Acusonus and from RX, Isotope RX, which are fantastic and will actually, sort it all out. But you can move your volume up and down, and nothing degrades the audio. It's called non-destructive editing. Again, please, if you asked me this last year, I'm acting like I've been doing this for 10 years. I haven't. So don't.
No, brilliant. I think this is a testimony of how people quickly adapt to change, and I think it brings me to the next point. The three of us have spent a lot of time in this industry. I've seen, I'm sure Ashwin, you have as well, and Dheeraj, you too, where
Yes,
in studios we used to have those manual punch-ins. Like you said, the machines would be, I remember when while dubbing, the machines wouldn't just sync in, so they had to give a pre-roll of 10 seconds, and you had to be ready. Any mistake that you make, you would then again have to go back 10 seconds, so you're literally wasting. So that was no pressure, but you have to perform at that time. But from there to now, like you mentioned, so many things that you can do at your fingertips in your house. What do you think is the future going ahead over the next 2 to 5 years? What do you think will change for voice actors? Will there be more opportunities working from home? Will it be like a hybrid model where some opportunities will be maybe on site in studios, but others might be at home? Dheeraj, Ashwin, anyone? Dheeraj, over to you.
I think this is Ashwin's question.
No, how is it? Because
Please.
Okay, let's break it down. So from a studio point of view, Dheeraj, what do you think is going to change? Do you think Like, somebody told me there used to be 48 channel faders back in the day. Now AR Rahman records on an iPad. So do you think the size of the studios, generally the equipment, all of that is now shrinking? Do you think that changing over a period of time? I have seen a change in the past maybe couple of months or 6 months, where I've seen lesser of condenser microphones and more of boom microphones now. But do you think things like these have been changing? Do you think from a studio point of view, anything else that you think will change over the next 3 to 4 years?
The space, I mean, there'll be, that depends on what you need for a voiceover job. Smaller booths, smaller studios, you can I mean, it's sufficient. But when it comes to something like when there are a lot of people involved, or they want to be in the studio or something like that, then you might need bigger studios with facilities and all those things. But to get the job done, a small setup is more than enough.
I think
Okay,
that's
and
and
purely.
Ashwin?
and and,
I,
and in our studio we don't have a mixing board, because that's completely obsolete now.
wow. Yeah. Okay. So I look at it as: are you looking just a wave file for me? Are you not looking to sync? Are you not? If you just want the wave file, then sure, I can do it. If you want a lot of other stuff, like I said, I will also recommend a studio. And we need both. There are going to be jobs going for all of us. Like I said, there's more dubbing work than ever before because of all the streaming platforms. So that has increased the amount of
Correct.
stuff that is running through. Was otherwise it was only movies. Nobody dubbed TV shows, but the amount of work coming. So these studios are really really busy as well. Some big companies, big clientele. It's all in the budget. Agency, client, everything is paid for. Studio has to be paid for. So that's important because it has to be shown where money is going, and that's absolutely fine as well. So I say, for looking for raw audio, just the files, just this, you want me to do the basic, yeah, that's me. And again, a lot of the smaller companies, I think the balance will come. They're as important. For example, as well, I'm doing an audiobook at the moment for someone. I agreed, but I said, look, I don't have the time to finish it for you, to do the finishing. So I've hired an engineer. I've told them what the engineer's rates are, and I told the engineer to tell me how many hours, and I'll tell them, and they'll transfer the money to you, which I'll make sure. But I'm saying, so we need each other as well, and I think that's great that the engineers as well who can also do that from home. Otherwise, they also did everything from the studio. So they'll do the studio work. They'll also do things like this. Like I said, we have a good price value in India where we can use that. So if I can, I would like to pass that job on to somebody else, which allows me to do more recording as well, especially for the longer stuff. So I think we're
Right.
going to come to an understanding and literally we'll come to an agreement with how both are used. But the home studio is here to stay. I am absolutely certain about it, because
Yes.
abroad it's been huge for years, and it'll be here to stay, and it'll be a different kind, because we're different kind of people, and we're different kind of clients in India, different kind of. So I think there'll be a whole new change of how voiceover is delivered and all that in India than it is in the West.
Right, right. No, great.
One
I
one
think
one thing
yeah,
one
sorry,
thing that
Dheeraj, go ahead.
studios allow is to for the artist to focus completely on what he's the project, rather than because
Completely,
when you
I
yeah, so he
totally
doesn't have
agree.
to worry about he's just focused on his delivery. So that's one thing, one advantage for the artist to come into the studio and do
I,
the job.
I completely agree, because the pressure of having to, even whether it's 100 words, and then you got to, my God, I just heard, did that dog that just barked, is it? So then you got to stop it. You have to listen. Maybe it came, maybe it didn't, because you can hear it in your headphones. That depends on the gain that you have. I'm saying that when you're at the studio, literally, studio is a luxury for a voice actor. You just walk in, you say, let's start. Then you have a cup of tea with the engineer, and with somebody else there. And it's so you spend 15 minutes recording and 45 minutes having tea, which is a great
Right.
way to earn money.
Right.
And you don't pay for that tea here. So unfortunately, you have to keep a bottle of water out here. I have to pull the curtain. I have a silent USB fan which I ordered, called an O polar fan, which at the small setting, because I'm using a dynamic, it's not heard. It doesn't pick up. But otherwise, it can get really. And then in summer, you're sweating buckets while doing a recording because you can't put the AC on, you can't put
Yes.
this on.
Right.
So really, a studio doesn't let you think about all of that, and that's why I really like studios to remain. Because somebody said, "Ashwin, can you come to the studio?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'd really like to." So
Great.
that's the
On
way I
on
feel.
Nice. So, on a closing note, maybe just 2 or 3 recommendations to budding voice actors. What is it that they should be doing to be relevant in this fraternity for the next, say, 4 to 5 years? Any 2 skills that they need to pick up apart from being exceptional voice artists? What is it that Dheeraj you would recommend voice actors to add to their skills?
First is again once again a good reel and network with studios and send. I mean, the problem that I see right now, I get mails from uh, budding people who are starting. They say, "Hi, please PFA my sample." That does nothing for me, you know. And I got a mail where a guy wrote, he filled it out like a form, like name so, age so. Uh, that's it, and that was the mail. And there was one attachment with a phone recording sample. So don't do that. So I
Sorry,
mean,
Absolutely.
so I'm laughing. So the reason why, the amount of times even there are post producers, other people who say, "Sir, वो sample phone पे भेज दीजिए ना," and I'm like, "नहीं, मैं नहीं करूँगा. Even if I'm sending a sample to you, I will record it from my setup, and it will be good.
correct.
It will be the best it can be, because I think that's terrible to send off to a client. You know, to send off to your client. Uh, so what one should do is get the best possible that you can to send out. And like Dheeraj said, that sounds terrible. You're never going to be called. I need my
Yeah,
sample to be as good as what I would as a finished product on air.
correct.
I need the quality. Okay, there's no music maybe, but I need the quality of the voice to be. Sometimes I do a full finishing. I do everything, compression, equalization, everything, and send that. And then when I do the job, I send the raw audio. So just a client has heard this and go, "Oh my God, this is a good sound." Because eventually it's not the studio, it's the client that is listening to it
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
send a sample, and the
yeah.
client will go, मतलब ये क्या बोल रहा है? मतलब ये आवाज
Correct,
क्या है? They will say that. So get the best you can. Treat your sample as something that somebody is paying you money for.
correct.
And if you do that, you will actually you are likely to get a certain percentage of the jobs.
Right.
And then secondly, you're, now that it's all work from home, you have to start learning to be your own engineer as well, because people are going to ask for it. Next
Right.
month I'm going to learn properly how to lay layers and music and all that, because people are starting to ask for that. So I don't have the choice again.
Right.
So
But
yeah,
YouTube is full of courses that teach you how to do things
exactly.
from A to Z, free courses. And if you want to spend some money, there are things like Udemy, where there are a lot
I've
of
I,
voiceover courses and
I've done
software
courses. I've done
lessons.
courses
Yeah,
on Udemy.
yeah,
I've done
it's
I've
like
done
four
two
ninety
two
nine or
courses.
something.
Yeah,
So it's not very investment heavy. So you can. It's just that you just have to be with the times.
Right, right. And that's what this session was about. How do you adapt yourself with the changing times, and some brilliant insights. So first of all, thank you so much, Dheeraj and Ashwin, for joining
thanks
this
a lot,
session.
man.
Pleasure.
It was a brilliant session. I'm sure everyone who
At
was
least
on
at
the
least
session, even
at
within
least studio and artists are not fighting. We know that we need each other. I think that's the most important
and they
thing.
agreed. So there was a consensus on most points.
Yes,
Studios
yes,
are here to stay, but artists
yeah,
will have to up their game in terms of
yes, absolutely.
managing their voiceovers, recording themselves, learning about hardware, software, and upskilling themselves to stay relevant over the next few years. So I think thank you so much. It was wonderful talking to both of you, and I
Thanks a
hope
lot, guys.
the audience have enjoyed
Yeah,
this session.
David, thanks a lot.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashwin.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Ashwin.